JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a series that's hard not to love. It's made up of 9 parts, 6 of which have been animated, and it follows the different Joestar and their adventures in each part. These members of the Joestar family, they're basically destined to take down some type of supernatural threat, some more than others. But throughout the Joestar journey, there has been at least 5 things I had an issue with. One being the decision to make Joseph this kind of cheating two-timer. The first thing I want to get into, Hamon. Now Hamon is basically this ancient breathing technique that converts life force energy into energy that mimics sunlight. It's also known as ripple or sendo, but the main issue is that Hamon kind of fell off and later became replaced with stands, which were introduced in part 3. Now there's been this debate between Hamon and stands, and I wasn't on board at first with stands because I really like Hamon and how diverse it could be. But I actually grew to like the stands. I find them super creative, seeing as they're the physical manifestation of a user's life energy. I guess my main thing is, I feel like it's a waste to no longer use or see Hamon because it had such potential, it seemed to be very diverse, and I would have loved to see just how far that technique could have developed or how far it would have gone. Hamon not being utilized as much is exactly how I feel about the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan in Naruto. They had really great techniques, but it's not explored as much as it should be. The second thing that kind of bothered me about JoJo's was the revelation that Joseph cheated on his wife, Suzy Q, and ended up having Josuke. Now we're all aware that each part is going to have a different Joestar lead in it for the most part. First part was Jonathan, second part was Joseph, third part was Jotaro, fourth part was Josuke, fifth part we had Giorno, Giovanna, and sixth we had Jolyne Kujo. Now I will say, one thing I absolutely adore about JoJo's is that you're going to get a different MC with each part. You're going to follow a different story, and I really love that a lot. I also like how you may follow a different MC, but you'll still see the characters from the previous parts from time to time. But when we came around to part 4 and we learned of Josuke and we learned that he was actually the product of an affair, that kind of had me looking at Joseph a little bit differently. I mean, maybe I missed something, but to me that kind of came out of left field, and that completely shocked me because I didn't even think that was something that was in Joseph's character. Now don't get me wrong, I still like Joseph, I still like all of the JoJo's, but that just kind of threw me off for a little bit, especially considering since I didn't see any signs that he was a womanizer or see any signs that he had a problem with cheating, but that's just me. The third thing that got to me and bothered me was how they handled John. To be frank, I don't like how he came back in part 5 just to be written off. And it's not like he was my favorite character or anything, but I probably do have some bias because part 3 is my favorite throughout the entirety of the JoJo series. Personally, I felt like having John coming back towards the end of part 5 was a little bit unnecessary. And like I said, I could be biased because part 3 was my favorite part. But I also liked how John was able to get a happy send-off because we lost Iggy, we lost so many other people during that part. So it really put my soul at ease to see John survive at least. Now my fourth complaint, or the fourth thing that didn't kind of resonate with me, would have to be the art style. Like on one hand, I can appreciate the art style changing because it's creative and I like it. But on the other hand, it feels like certain art styles are more appealing on the eyes than others. For me personally, I think I like the art styles from part 1 to part 3. Part 3 being the best art style that I enjoyed. I'd probably even go as far as to say I like the art style in part 4 as well. But it seems like my cutoff is with parts 5 and part 6. And I guess maybe it depends on the character you're looking at too. For example, let's look at Dio. Now part 3 Dio, that's my favorite Dio. I love the design, everything is flawless. But then if we turn around and look at Dio from part 6, that's not very appealing to me at least. Like I said, maybe as the art style changes, it'll look more flattering for some than others, if that's even possible. But I mean, that's not going to stop me from watching JoJo's at the end of the day. Last thing I kind of had an issue with, I mean, it's not a big deal, but the last thing I kind of had an issue with was Jolyne. Now, I love all of the JoJo's, probably not equally, and maybe I'll come back and do a video on that separately later, but I was very excited to see a female JoJo. So when I learned that we were getting a female JoJo, and she was going to be the daughter of Jotaro, and she was kind of going to have an introduction just like her father, a prison environment, I was really hyped and excited for that. But what kind of killed my excitement just a little bit, and I'm probably being nitpicky, was the fact that she was in jail over a guy. Or maybe it's more fair to say that a guy ended up setting her up. Of course, we learned that it was all a plan to begin with to get Jolyne there in order to lure out Jotaro. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you have the daughter of Jotaro who's really analytical and a little bit intelligent, and his daughter, Jolyne, this is what she gets locked up behind? A guy? I guess I just figured as Jotaro's daughter, she'd have a lot more sense and she wouldn't get caught up in her feelings. But I guess it is realistic to a degree because we can be weak with our heart. Anyway, that's all I have for the matter. This was meant to be a quick video. Y'all let me know what y'all think. What are your thoughts? Do you prefer a certain art style? Is there something you had an issue with in JoJo's? Be sure to let me know down below. As always, I thank you all for the likes, subscriptions, and comments. I thank you all for your support, your continued support. Thank you for tuning in. SierraNovaa is out.